comfort makes you lazy and, like, oh, okay, be uncomfortable. Do something that, doesn't, nobody else is going to do. I slept in a car because I had to decide whether I was going to pay the entry fee for an event, or eat or stay in a hotel. So I decided to pay entry fee to an event and not sleep in a hotel and not eat that night, and sleep in a rest area on the side of a highway in America alone in a car. But now I can do it anywhere. The first time is the hardest time.
We have with us Simi Mehra, the torchbearer for Indian ladies golf. Simi, at a time when there was no ladies golf in the country, you went out there, you played on the US LPGA Tour. You and Seri Park were the two Asians, the first Asians to play on the US LPGA Tour. You led the long driving stats of the US LPGA Tour. ये सब कैसे किया?
I think खुंदक में एक तो for people to say that अरे लड़की है नहीं कर पाएगी, नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, वो आग लगती है मेरे को थोड़ा सा. And then I think I would say 100% my parents, my mother and my father. My father probably the gentlest soul that I know, the kindest. When I failed in class 6, he said कोई बात नहीं, base strong होगा. Whereas my mother's like, fail ho gayi, sari zindagi fail hogi. So I literally had two extremes, and I think I'm very lucky and blessed that I was able to always take the positive out. I am a very, very positive person. I think that comes from being relentless, having a lot of grit, and ये Simi Mehra का खून भी, my mother, I think उनका खून थोड़ा पागल है, और ये पागल खून मेरे में भी है, मेरे भाई में भी है, अब क्या करें? I think that has a lot to do with it.
But tell me, Simi, उस time पे when you had at RCGC Calcutta, there were hardly any girls playing, and then you and Arjun Atwal,
both from Calcutta,
dear friends,
both from Royal Calcutta Golf Club, both from Calcutta, same time,
playing at the highest levels of international golf.
Best friends, and we both dreamt the same at the same exact time, which is so crazy. I mean, I still remember at the age of 16 hitting balls on the range and him and I looking at each other. एक दिन तुम खेलेगा PGA Tour, हम खेलेगा LPGA Tour. He said, हाँ, हम लोग JC Penny Classic साथ में खेलेगा. Like that was the goal. The goal was not even just to make the tour. The goal was that we'd play the JC Penny Classic, which at that time used to be a PGA Tour, an LPGA Tour player, and a senior tour player combined event, which was fabulous. It was so much fun. Unfortunately, JC Penny went bankrupt, I think. But that was our dream. Like we'd play. Even then, we thought we'd play together. Being on tour, and I think that is what really here is not taught. The parents are not teaching you how to be a team player. They're teaching you how to be an individual. I've never seen an individual being able to, break rocks and make, staircases. You need help. And there's no problem in asking for help. And I think you should teach our children to ask for help and receive help with gratitude. And, when you help each other out, as players, you're gonna go faster up, so much faster you'll go up than trying to make it on your own. And I saw it, Seri Park and I, she's from Korea, I'm from India. We both had no pro tours in India, for women. We had nothing for women in India. The amateur IGU LS was, awful. I'm being very blunt. Not much has changed still. But everything that seems to happen now is, it's like one person trying to break the mold. We're not teaching kids. We're not, use the knowledge that players like Arjun Atwal and I have. We've had 20 years of experience. We must know something.
Simi, I'm going to hold you for a minute. I'm going to come back to what Seri Park and you and Korea. But just going back to Calcutta, in those days, no coaching, no guidance. just two individuals driven by a lot of passion, big vision. What was working which today's kids can actually take from that?
I think being encouraged with positivity is very different to being encouraged with negativity. You know, and my mom beat the crap out of me, Bindi uncle beat the crap out of Arjun. So it's not about, oh, I'm physically abused, and that's all nonsense. If you do something wrong, you need a slap, you need a slap. You should be slapped. That's the only way to bring kids in line. None of this, oh, I'm being too soft. I think parents are too soft on their kids. You need to be hard. That's the only way to instill discipline. जैसे प्यार करो मगर दुश्मन की नजर से देखो. अपने बच्चों को दुश्मन की नजर से देखना चाहिए. फिर तुम कट्टर बच्चे पैदा करोगे, डिसिप्लिन बच्चे पैदा करोगे. ये जो सॉफ्ट है ना, ये कुछ नहीं होता. Kids are too smart. They take advantage.
There's a term called ruthless compassion, which is what you're saying. There's a lot of love, but you need to be a little.
Absolutely. You have to be hard, you have to be tough, and that's what makes them tough.
But tell me, why could Calcutta do it? Why are other parts of India not doing something similar? Because you guys have gone and won on the biggest circuits in the world. It is something which is what every golfer's dream really is. And why isn't it happening in other parts? And what should they be doing?
First of all, the Royal Calcutta Golf Club, in my opinion, then, and it went through a bad time in the middle, and now, probably, in my opinion, the best golf course we have today. When it comes to a championship golf course, there's nothing like the Royal Calcutta Golf Club. We are hitting balls off grass. We play off grass. I don't play on the golf course of mat. Stop making me practice off mat. Mat's great to a certain level to, teach a player to get there. But once the player knows how to play golf, open grass out, put in it a little bit. If Royal Calcutta Golf Club can do it, every other golf course can do it in the country. The members have a chance to hit off the grass. The pros, there's a full grass tee box. Make them play on the same conditions that they will be playing outside. There's a major problem with that. You're just trying to be. I think we've become very good at accepting mediocrity, if I want to use that word. If you want to excel, then you have to create an environment for excellence. It doesn't just come. You have to create.
So tell me, Simi, I mean, you and Seri Park were amongst the first Asians on the US LPGA Tour. We've seen Korean golf where they've gone.
Explode.
And I think both the countries were in similar state as far as ladies golf was concerned.
Yeah.
What are they doing right which we should be learning from?
Well, I think the first thing is that they tapped Seri Pak's, success on the tour. They exploded her in Korea. Like, I still remember she got a presidential welcome. I mean, she deserved it. She won the US Open. And, the history of Seri Pak, her farewell, every single player coming from Korea knows Seri Pak was the person who made us where we are today. She is the reason. She created that path. I can tell you 75% of players in India don't know that there was a player from India in the 90s who made the LPGA Tour. And that has nothing to do with the players. That has to do with golf courses, that has to be with the IGU, that has to be with the IGULS. They've done nothing to promote other than promote themselves. I'm really sorry, I'm going to call a spade, but, just feeling very happy being in a position and not, I mean, today they've changed the All India. It's, you've taken an old historical traditional event and you've totally ruined it. If you don't know history, how are you going to go ahead? That is why you're taught history, no? Otherwise, why would we bother to learn history? Kal hua, why learn?
Very interesting that a couple of people have said exactly what you said, and so right. But I'm just coming back to, not many people know that you were responsible for the setting up of the Women's Golf Association in India. I remember...
Even players playing on the WGA do not know that I was probably the only person who stood by Champika Sayal to get it started. Nobody else. Not a single other good player who won big events in our country, I'm not going to name them, none of them stood by. In fact, they did everything but to make sure that this was not created. I still have letters, I still have newspaper clippings. I actually had some stupid editor write an article that Simi has started this tour for herself. I'm like, I'm playing on an $85 million tour, but I will come to India and win 75,000 rupees to win a tournament where my ticket cost me 85,000 rupees. I mean, at least be fair. I'm not asking you to push me, but don't put me down, yaar. Give me the credit I deserve. Be fair.
Absolutely.
That's it. You gotta be fair in life. And just see what's happening. You were not fair to me. You think God will allow anybody else to move ahead and go and make Nobody knows that you started a tour in India. The WGI till date is not moving forward. They can't even get together a full yearly schedule for the players to be able to make a schedule for themselves if they want to go play a different country, etc. They can't, because they get to know we have an event, like 2 months in advance.
So, Simi, what's the lessons to be learned from Korean golf that the WGI and Indian golf can take over?
I think the most important thing to learn is that the people handling the Korean golf are actual golfers who have actually played the game, who've actually been there, who've actually done it. It's like, would you go to an English teacher who doesn't know how to speak English? How can they encourage, you cannot encourage kids by being mean to them. You discipline and mean are very different. You beat them, that's not being mean, that's probably good for them. But you can't deny them basic structure. Like, we have a women's tour in India and we don't have a woman on the ground. Do you know what a big issue that is? There are 35, 40 girls playing and you don't have a woman in charge. Do you know that there are certain things that happen to women? And there are girls who are coming from different demographics of society who are not comfortable discussing these things with men. Now imagine how they feel. I have actually experienced it firsthand. At my age, I didn't know how to tell a rules official that I needed to use the ladies' room and I needed help. And who do I talk to?
Well, it is actually a basic point, really.
It's a very basic.
But, Simi, I'm sure if they spent more time with you and got a sense of what goes into the big tours in the world, because I want to get to another question on juniors after this. But if you had to just give them 3 pointers to start with immediately, what would you suggest?
Wake up in the morning and make your bed. I think that is the most important thing that you can teach a kid is wake up in the morning, make your bed. That's number one. Number two, definitely learn meditation. The faster you learn meditation, the more you're going to be ahead of the curve is the way I look at it. And if you want to learn being athletic, do yoga. Do really good, get a really strict, yoga teacher from Bihar school or from Munger or wherever. They're enough, but an authentic, not a fancy yoga teacher, but a really authentic guy who's going to teach you how to breathe. And once you learn how to control your breathing, you learn to control emotions. Once you learn to control emotions, you can control how you think. You see, if somebody else has control over my emotions, then how do I make good decisions? I can't. If I get angry, if I lose my temper constantly, and I'm sitting here telling you that I'm lucky, that I'm blessed that I don't lose my temper anymore. I just laugh it off because I realize that if I allow somebody else to take control of my temper, then I can't make good decisions. Then everybody has control over me and I don't have control over myself. And I think children should be taught to learn to control themselves, and there is no better way than yoga and meditation. Really, it's the best advice I can give you. It might sound very basic.
No, it's actually phenomenal advice. I'm totally in agreement with you.
Learning how to breathe and how to control your breathing, you could probably, I'm certain that my Swamiji can beat the lie detector test. That's what it is. Breathing controls everything, your heart rate, how you think. So, perspective. So, learning how to control breathing, and there's no other better way than yoga.
Well, actually, I think it's great for everybody who's listening to you. I have another question now. You've been interacting with some of the great teachers in the world. You've been spending some time with Sean Foley.
That's right.
It's the cutting edge of golf education, science, technology. What do you think India needs to do to get that quality of coaching systems into place? Because we have the talent, it's just that they need to be grounded right.
I think what we need to do is definitely train our, help, financially help and motivate, train our own teachers to go outside and not get certification. Because I can't get a certification. I don't have the acumen to sit down and give an exam. But you tell me to stand and give me an exam on the mic, I'm happily I can do that. I can give you all the information I have. So, I think experience trumps certification every single time. And that's the difference. Send your coaches to go and stand behind some of the top coaches. See how the coaches interact with their students. Not just the information, but the basic emotional interaction. It's phenomenal. I feel at home when I'm talking to these guys. Compared to here, I feel I have to mind, the way I speak and the person I am. I have to sort of adjust myself to be in that environment. Whereas I don't feel it. How can I become anything in life if I can't be myself? I think being myself, the person I am, that is far more important than trying to adjust into somebody else's idea. And so I think we need to teach our coaches, our officials, go abroad and see how these officials and coaches are interacting with players, with students. Learn that. Learn the EQ. The EQ trumps IQ every time.
What about the technology? I mean, what you said is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's 20 years ahead. No matter how far ahead we get, we're always 20 years behind. It feels sometimes to me that things that are being thrown off the shelf in America is being put on the shelf here 20, It's like, okay, cassette tape nahi chahiye, India mein bhej do, bahut chalega. Stuff like that. Stop using sunblock. That's my warning. It's terrible. Use coconut oil. It's the best.
That's interesting because there's such a focus on, protection and...
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have health, if you're not healthy, if your body is not ready to take on the work, how are you going to take on the work? Health is first. Mental, physical and mental health go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other.
Simi, you're doing a lot of coaching and teaching on your own currently. Do you want to share some of that and what are you teaching them?
Yeah, I'm just, my broken education that I have. I go to a tiny little village in the mountains and, all the ladies who cut grass for the cattle. It started off with chatting with them and one of their kids came to me for English and the elder one went, Seema was teaching them a little bit of geometry. So now we are like the English and math teacher for a few kids and it was phenomenal because I read the books, that these NCRT books, a class 6 student, a class 10 student couldn't tell me what a class 6 NCRT book, she could read what it said but she had no idea. She was just reading without having any idea. She's in the Pahad and she didn't know Pahad is mountain, but she read mountain. So I'm teaching them to learn the language and the best way to learn a language is to watch the news. I've got them to all watch a little bit of English news and listen to English music. It helped me. I went to Japan, that's how I learned really fast, with my Japanese friends. So, I at least learned, like Ichni Sanji, like 1, 2, 3, 10, left, right, straight. Just I can get away with being in Japan on my own. So I think teaching another language, teaching kids in these places it's very satisfying. It's superb.
Excellent. Ladies golf. We have a couple of good girls coming through. They seem to be capable of going the entire journey. And We had Aditya Ashok contending for the Olympics medal, but narrowly missing it. But she gave a lot of hope to a lot of
Oh
Indians.
yeah,
Yeah.
she broke the ceiling. I mean, nobody knew. Nobody, in fact, I read a few articles saying that she was the first player on the LPGA tour. I laughed about it. It was just, how media covered me when I was. How media never covered me when I was in America. But they are very good at trying to compare Aditi and me, which is so wrong. She came 20 years later, like 20 saal baad, like a Hindi movie.
But what should these girls be doing to win out there?
Uh, get strong, eat lots of nuts, put as much as ghee in your body as you can, because ghee is where you get shakti. Eat a lot of protein and get strong, get flexible, because if you can't hit it out there, now the average player is hitting it. What I was the longest player in the world. The technology is so advanced. The ball has gone through so much of a transformation. It doesn't like squirt out on you. The balata ball, you remember, we grew up together. It could go, it could squirt out. And today Titleist is probably still, it was the best ball then. It's the best ball now. It's probably the best ball in my opinion. Always, when it comes to golf ball, nobody touches this company. And equipment is so advanced. With all of this advancement, if you can't get the ball up in the air at 220, 225, 230, a true 25, 30, not your own idea of how far you hit it. If you can't do that, don't bother going to the test.
You had a driving average of 263 with those balls and that equipment.
Yeah.
You're still giving them a 30-yard concession. How do they get to 280? Which is what I think Nelly Koda and other girls are.
Yeah. You gotta be in the gym 2-3 hours every day, working out, or go to an ashram, or go to the mountain and do a little bit of mountain climbing. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. I think the human body is very quick at adapting. We like to be in something called homeostasis. It's like you go, your heart rate is something, you go for a run, your heart rate goes back. The minute you come back, you're fighting to bring the heart rate back to its, my comfort zone. That is the killer. The comfort zone is what kills you. Be uncomfortable always. If you want to grow, if you want to learn, you have to make sure you're uncomfortable. Because comfort makes you lazy and, like, oh, okay, be uncomfortable. Do something that, doesn't, nobody else is going to do. I slept in a car because I had to decide whether I was going to pay the entry fee for an event, or eat, or stay in a hotel. So I decided to pay entry fee to an event and not sleep in a hotel and not eat that night, and sleep in a rest area on the side of a highway in America alone in a car. But now I can do it anywhere. The first time is the hardest time. Once you get that first time through, then after that it becomes, अरे ये तो अब तो मैं कहीं भी सो लूँ, कोई problem नहीं.
Well, that's an incredible story. Tell me, Simi, you've been doing a lot of interesting self-development work, which not many people know about. But you want to share some of those different
let
techniques?
Let that be. Yeah, let it be. Let me keep some secrets. Yeah, it's okay. Let me
Okay.
just do what I can do. And to be honest, I don't do anything. I wake up in the morning and somebody sends me something and say, I think today you should do this. I say, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I just go with the flow. So whatever path Shivji takes me is the path that I'm happily doing.
It takes a lot of courage to have that intuitive strength and to have faith in it.
I don't think that intuition comes to people who are not courageous. I think only courageous people get intuition. Cowards don't. It's just, that's the way it is.
Well said. I'm going to bring you back to this event that's happening here, the Kutab Golf League. One of the things about the league is the inclusiveness. In fact, the team selection, there's a mandatory participation of 2 ladies from each team. And the idea is to get everybody together. Your thoughts?
When you gave me a breakdown of all the people that are required to be part of the team, the first word that jumped up is being inclusive. And I've always believed that it's actually inclusivity that gets you ahead and not being exclusive. Exclusive is just crap. So, this whole idea of being inclusive, making sure that everybody is part of that, everybody has skin in the game. When everybody has skin in the game, you're bringing everybody from different demographics of society. Then all of a sudden, your spread of this game, the growth of this game, is going to be, fabulous. You've just extended yourself out to a totally different demographic and a portion of society that is neglected. Women are constantly neglected, and I don't want to be the same person beating that drum. It's old, it's been beaten, everybody's beating it. So let's not, talk about it anymore. Let's just do something about it. So I think the fact that these two gentlemen are going out of the way to make sure that they make it inclusive, I think that is going to be a very good effect on growth of golf, women and men in the country.
In fact, very well said. Another good thing is that they have juniors who are part of the system and they're getting to play with elderly people. It's a great learning tool for them as well.
100%.
And we have India's number 2 lady golfer, Zara Anand, who's part of one of the teams. When you were young, playing with elders, how much did that teach you?
I played with my mom, and I played with Maureen Wallace and Aruna Vijay Singh and Indu Chaudhary, and these people taught me how to behave. They couldn't control my Simi Mehra ka khoon, but they taught me how to be respectful on the golf course, and that, waiting for somebody to finish, shaking hands, taking your hat off. I think this creates character. This makes you a person who's, going to be part of society, and these are the kind of people we want in society, right? So I think that's very important. In fact, you say this. There's a player from Calcutta, Anisha Agarwal. She's Vandana Agarwal's niece, and she said to me, Simi, I played with your mother. I played a lot of golf with your mother. She scared me, but man, I learned so much. And I said, yeah, I understand that, because I felt the same with, the ladies who were, helping grow golf in Calcutta. Basant Auntie, Bunty Mehtab. Without these people in Calcutta, I probably would have been a total jungli. I'm half there, but the one half I do have, I definitely learned, how to be a person, and I saw how they treated everybody, how to treat your caddies, the people who work for you, man. You got to treat them as they're part of your team. You can't talk down to people, and I see that. I see how these young players talk to their caddies, and it's it sends shivers down my spine, because my caddy in America sits with me and eats, and I shared a hotel room with my caddy. So you have to change the way you think, and what I love about sport is actually sport does change the way you think about people. But I feel we need to extend it, like ingrain it into kids, that you're a team. He's not your slave out there.
No, beautifully said, Simi. There was a question I wanted to ask her. Just
Zara Anand, she I think must have applied to a few universities, and all the players I played with, they're all now in universities as coaches. So what actually most of these players have no idea about, that anytime they apply for a college golf scholarship, I get a call or I will get a message every single time.
wow.
And even with Zara, and then I'll get a call and she'll be like, Simi, do some digging. And I do my little bit. I don't know any of these amateur kids, I don't play amateur golf, but I do my little digging, and I give the feedback and fair, and so that I don't want to surprise my friends, out there. I want to make sure that everything I tell them is authentic. So she's actually one of them who's got into Auburn University.
Excellent. I mean, that's a hidden benefit or service to the kids, which, Simi, you said something very nice about the importance of sport for kids. But what is it about golf? And why should kids play golf? I mean, what do they learn from it?
I think what I learned is how to handle a life. Because, golf, because there's so much time that you spend in your head on the golf course. That's 4.5 hours. If we total the 72 shots and we talk about if it takes 10 seconds to hit these 72 shots, you're actually engaging physically, you know, a minuscule percentage of the 4.5 hours. So what do you do for those 4 hours and 20 other minutes? How do you keep yourself occupied? And you got to be understanding how life is, that you're going to have your ups and downs, and how you're going to emotionally deal with it. And I think when you play professional golf or golf at a certain level, uh, you're in life, your ups and downs, you learn how to handle it yourself. It makes you self-reliant. If I had to use a word for this game, it would be it teaches you to be self-reliant. I mean, I played on tour in America for 15 years. I drove 20,000 miles every year. I don't think people understand what 20,000 miles every single year, playing 40 events out of 53 weeks or 54 weeks we have in a year. Um, you gotta you gotta know how to get it. I've had a gun pointed at me. I've had everything that you can imagine, that all the Hollywood movies that you can talk about. I've had quite a bit of all of that. I've experienced racism, everything, and you learn how to manage it and handle it without having a complete meltdown. And I think that's what this game does. It teaches you to be self-reliant and not have a meltdown.
One of the objectives of the sport, the league, and everything else is to obviously spread the message of golf, spread the message of the goodness that goes around with it. You spoke about learning lessons which are character based and learning humility. Where does all that add up to in terms of being a player?
Everything. If the best player in the world, look at them, see how they behave. Forget about their golf swing and how they hit the ball. See how they walk. Look at look at the mental aspect of it. Today, if you just put your hands on your shoulder and just move it back, without having to think about posture, if you just do this, I'm in the right posture, and suddenly that, the message I send out is I'm a very, very confident human being. So, look at all of this, look at what they do. Yeah, just do this, and suddenly you'll be like, oh wow, I'm in the right posture. This is yoga right here. So, I think, sort of try and imbibe what the top players do. Because if you want to be a top player, you have to behave like them. It's something called, my brother told me this, OLQ. My brother Simi Mehra is an extremely influential person in my life. Though we are poles apart, but character-wise we are the same. And he told me something called OLQ. I'm sure you know what OLQ is, officer-like qualities. So, you dress for the job you want and not the job you have. So, put your best person, the best Simi Mehra this morning is going to show up at the golf course. And I think that is equally important as, your statistics and hitting balls and all of that. I've won tournaments coming straight from the mountain without even playing a practice round, just because of the way how good I felt about myself. And that comes from discipline. You can only feel good about yourself when you see others feeling good in your company. When others are happy in your company, then you feel good about yourself.
Lovely, Simi. Lots of good things there for all of us to learn. So, Simi, now you've seen this league. It is fortunately a completely open league. It's not limited to club members of A, B, C, or club. The idea is to get anybody and everybody, whether from Delhi or from across the country. But as a player, as somebody who's been responsible for setting up the WGI, getting a sense of what's happening in world golf, where would you like to see this go?
What I would like to see this, I'll be a little selfish. I've been, I would like to see professional golfers also being included eventually. in a year or so. I think that would be great. And I think what would be really, really good is, you have you're traveling, like you explained to me, you guys are going to travel the country and have the event in different golf courses
No, different courses in Delhi,
in Delhi.
NCR. Yeah.
That's also fine, because once you do it, it's like you know putting a road together for the first time. Once you do it and it's going to be successful, everybody else will follow suit. So when everybody else follows suits, that's how pretty much the game grows. I think adding professionals to it will now you're going to get young kids, amateurs to play with players at the top of the game, so you're not only growing the game, but now you're teaching each other. Sometimes a professional golfer needs to learn how to be a kid on the golf course sometimes. You know what I mean? So it literally is a win-win situation. I think you should add that to it. That'll help grow. And the fact that you are making sure that everybody is included, that itself, I think, is a phenomenal idea. That you're not restricting it to members, and what a great place to do it on this extremely traditional, historic, golf course and city and a beautiful, beautiful golf course in my opinion.
Simi, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We've all gained so much in this interaction.
So have I. Thank you.
And I'm sure everybody who's listening to it, especially the kids, they're going to benefit tremendously from your. Okay,
It
thank
has
you.
to be.
Thank you.